Hey everyone, welcome to Carnivore Chats tonight. Hope you're all well. We're a little early because Nat and I are running early, so we thought we'd jump on a little bit sooner than expected. So hope you're all well. Countdown is on. Carnivore Live is this Saturday in Melbourne. If you have not purchased your ticket, make sure you get your ticket for Saturday. The VIP dinner on the Friday night is all sold out, so if you're attending that, you are in for a treat. Trust me, you're in for a treat. So you're going to absolutely love that, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody Friday night, and then for a huge Carnivore Live event on Saturday. Like I said, tickets are still available, so if you're still thinking about coming along, jump on and get your tickets soon. Right, I've got Natalie West tonight. Incredible professional. Does amazing work to help people through whatever they are going through, and I'll let her talk to you more about that. Obviously carnivore advocate, because Nat is a guest speaker on Saturday. So we are looking forward to seeing you all, aren't we?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I'm just trying to get my thing going on here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Good.
Good. What's happening? Good. Tell me, I missed the intro.
Well, I was just saying that we've sold out the dinner for Friday night for Carnival Live VIP dinner, which is very exciting. So
Amazing.
For all attending on Friday night, like, you're in for a treat. It's going to be very special and a really great opportunity to get up close and personal with some really amazing people doing amazing things in the not just carnivore space, but health wellness space here and globally. So
Yep, absolutely. And I'm excited to be there again because Adelaide was amazing. It was so good.
Yeah.
The vibe was just brilliant.
Yes.
And this time, I'm going to be sharing some of my own clients' personal transformations and journeys from mental and metabolic health. So it's not something that I normally do, but it's a pretty amazing thing to hear from where they were to where they are now. And some of them that I'll be reading on the weekend will be 2 years from working with me, 18 months. So it just shows, the longevity of using, carnivore as a nutritional protocol, but all the other work that I do as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So when people come to you, where do they start? What is the main concern? What are their biggest challenges usually?
Normally disordered eating, attachment to food, falling on and off diets, mental health, just a real dysregulated thinking, dysregulated energy, not in the nervous system. So, it's a whole bucket of things, but they all kind of land really within the same frame for me. It's understand your mind, how your mind works, how your gut and your brain works together, and then also too how important your nervous system is. But ultimately, you can have the best diet, the best protocol, the grounding, the circadian rhythm, which is also what I do, but unless your mind is free, that's the biggest thing. It's also getting people back in touch with who they are and the relationship with themselves. So every single time you live in your environment or live in a concern about what other people think, that becomes a very dysregulated space for people to live in. So,
and when these people, when your clients come to you, are they considering carnivore at all, or that's just part of your protocol?
Some do. Some kind of stalk me for a while on YouTube and things like that, and they kind of.
Oh, hold on, we've lost you. We've lost your volume. No, nothing. No. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, gotcha.
Hold on.
Yep, I can hear you.
Dropping out for some reason. 2 secs. Gotta love the live. Hello, there you are.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Look, There's one actually lady that I'm going to share her experience with on Saturday. She came to me. She was referred to me by someone else, and then she had a problem with alcohol. Effectively, it was a drinking every night kind of scenario. So she came along with lots of guilt and shame and things like that, which most people do. And I introduced her to Carnivore, and she was just like, "What?" So it was really such a mind-blowing thing for her because she'd never really put the two things together around, healing the body through food, but also to the attachment to the craving of alcohol, which effectively is like sugar, right? So, she came and seen me, and within about a 2 to 3 week period, I'd spoken to her about Carnivore, and it was really funny because she said to me, it's like, wow, I came to talk about my alcohol problem, but I left eating steak. And I'm like, yes, that's right.
Yeah. That's it.
And it totally transformed her life. Like literally it took only 6 weeks for her to, that switch just really just turned on, and she just, all of her cravings, her desires, along with the unconscious value work of why we use food or alcohol to soothe. So, for her, that was a big transformation. But a lot of people will be like, oh, okay, I've heard about food, but don't really understand the concept of it. But also to teaching people how powerful ketogenic diets are.
Beautiful. I'd love you to share a little bit about maybe the work that you do. That we can come back to Carnivore in a minute, but I think it's important for people to understand the kind of work you do and things you highlight that people perhaps don't understand about themselves and how they think and feel. I think if there's something you can just go into, I know you do a lot of value work with clients, and I think that's such a great part of healing, the healing journey. And some people may not even be aware of how significant those parts of our journey are and what that could do for you.
Yeah. It's really true, Mel, because foundational is really helping people understand their conscious and unconscious mind, but also their body, because it also has a very unconscious memory state from years and years of conditioning, as are we. Humans are conditioned. So a lot of the time we're not understanding the value of the relationship with ourselves and where those value structures come from. So, most human race operate on external value structures. Never their own in relation to, who they are for themselves, but the connection that they have for themselves. I always, find people, when I'm talking about values, it's a real struggle when they come to understand what theirs are, because a lot of the time they don't exist. And if we don't have a really strong value about ourselves and, our own identity, then we're going to land those, behaviors in the environment. And that's where we become very disordered, or we get triggered, or we get, quite responsive and active from people, places and things. So I really teach people to come from an unconscious behavior with their values, actually reframe what values really are and find your own, and then live through them consciously. So every single choice you make, it's like a compounding effect. It's like interest. The more interest that you have, then that gets a bigger output. So your mind is an amazing tool if you just understand how it works and why it does what it does. So, when we talk about internal value systems, it's all about coming home to yourself, because most people live outside themselves and not within themselves, and they don't really have a landing place for themselves. That's why people use food, drugs, or alcohol to feed that.
Yeah, because they're making their decisions based on the external rather than the internal.
Yeah, well, the internal part of their own self-negative talk, their own lack of worth. So really what we've got to do is understand, well, where did that come from? Who gave that to me? Because our conditioning and our patterning is so powerful, but that doesn't mean that the filing systems, as I call them, or the software that we're operating on has to be for the rest of our lives, because it actually doesn't. Once we understand how power consciousness is, everything changes.
And from your experience in working with clients and people, can they change? How easy is it to create change, or hard, challenging? Like, what's the reality of this situation for somebody?
Well, anyone that I talk to that works with me, it's like, I'm here on your team, but I'm also here to take you through some pretty confronting and uncomfortable places, because that's where growth happens. Growth doesn't happen being comfortable. So, when people know that if I want to change, and this is the other part, society tells us, no, you don't need to change. Well, if you want a whole new life and a whole new being of who you are, yeah, you have to change. You have to wake up. You have to come from unconscious patterning into consciousness to be able to change everything within you, not around you. So that's the thing. Most people will go into the environment to try and change people, other people's beliefs or values. We can't do that. We've got to come into ourselves and change ourselves. And as much as I've always had clients that have, my job here is to reflect back things and understand what your unconscious is doing and help you understand that as well. Many of my clients have turned up the next day when we've had a bit of a confronting session, or the homework that they've been given. They're like, oh, I was so angry at you last week. And I'm like, I know, right? But they understand why, because it's caused a response where instead of hiding that part of themselves, they're allowed to bring it out and talk about it and not judge it and move through it. So there's one lady that I'll read actually on Saturday. She wrote a beautiful reflection of her work, and how she calls me the trigger lady. But she understands why, because now she's off doing her own thing, and she understands how to respond now and not react.
Yeah, responding and not reacting to your circumstances because you're strong and empowered and grounded at your core, based on understanding your internal values and what's important to you.
Who you are for you.
Exactly. So we're not making choices based on somebody else, or, how we're showing up for someone else or in the world. It's more about turning within and making a choice that's best for you.
Correct. And, we're so conditioned to manage other people's thoughts, feelings and reactions. And it's not our job. Our job's actually to know who we are at our deep core and what's mine and what's not mine, and be able to change those beliefs and value structures where you can lead a whole new internal state. So your state of being is really everything. That is everything that you touch, see, taste, smell. It's everything.
Exactly. Right. So just back to the carnivore, on carnivore, not on carnivore, with regards to your clients. When they switch to carnivore, tell me some of the things that they feel from a mindset perspective, or, I know when I went to carnivore, it was all about feeling life, experiencing life differently, thriving in a different way, mind fog gone, a lot more clarity, seeing things differently, more vibrantly, mood changes for the better. Are they the similar kinds of experiences your clients have when you move them over? Like coupled with, the mindset work, the value work?
I hear a lot of, I feel like I can see better. Things seem brighter. I have no more food noise in my head. It's like I have so much space now that I have to fill with other things than thinking about food or arguing with food, or when I'm going to eat, when I'm not going to eat, what I'm going to eat. A lot of that dysregulation disappears. Their bodies become calmer. So anxiety is one thing that I also hear, that I just don't react. I'm just really chilled. Sleep, like I have new clients, they're about 5 weeks in now, and they're like, oh, I'm literally just hit the pillow and I'm out and I don't move, and that's amazing. Understanding that when cravings go, there's just no thought of, going for a chocolate or, grabbing those things that would have been very unconscious before, and just feeling different in their body. moving different. I have a lady who realized, and again, the work that I do, fat loss is a side effect of what I do, and it's not the core focus, because the thing is, when that's a core focus, we kind of are a bit misguided. What we've got to do is use it from a mental and metabolic health, and then the body will take care of itself. But, she said to me, she's like, I've just noticed I'm walking different. My feet are different. I'm not shuffling. I'm walking different. And that's 5 weeks.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful. Yeah.
I've heard some stories even most recently in a much shorter period of time where they're feeling physical changes and how they're walking and moving, standing up and sitting down, and it's amazing.
Even, that 2-week period of the taste buds changing, that's a really common thing too, where it's like, oh, this tastes different, and I would never have thought I could have eaten, eggs and steak and lamb every day, but now I get it. Am I right?
Exactly. I think I've pretty much gotten to a point where I just eat when I'm hungry, which isn't very often. I eat about twice a day, and I've got the ability to ask myself, like, am I hungry or am I craving something? And often I just eat when the hunger signal turns on.
Yeah.
Cool, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat, and then I'm done. And that's usually about twice a day. Maybe like
correct.
One big meal, and then I usually have a smaller meal later in the day, late afternoon, very early evening. Yeah. But it's not like, oh, there it is, cool. Do I need to eat? Yes. Or often you can ask yourself, if I wouldn't eat a steak right now, then I'm probably not hungry, because your body will tell you when it needs its fuel.
It really does. And the biggest difference between, when you go to eat when you're primarily hungry, there's no conflict going on in your mind. There is no like, oh, should I eat this? Should I not eat that? You just eat it because you're drawn to that, and your body's telling you that's what you need. And that's what I help my clients understand when we're talking about the carbs and the sugars. And you'll always know when you're in emotion, because you're having a conversation with a piece of cake, right? And you're arguing and you're in conflict. That's an emotional choice. So then we've got to deal with the emotion instead of eating through the emotion.
Yes.
When you switch to a carnivore or ketogenic protocol, none of that all disappears. You don't argue with a ribeye. You just go, okay, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat it. And then you're satiated, but you're not soothing with it.
Yes.
It's a very different way. There's no soothing of or attachment to it either. All the attachment to food disappears.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I've had that for a really long time. I don't really have those cravings. I just eat when I know I'm hungry and when my body needs fuel. And then, and it's, again, it reconnects you back to the body, which we all need to do a little bit more of, I think, instead of just thinking it's a certain time when we need to eat. We should all eat at that time.
Well, we're not primarily driven to eat by the clock. If we're eating by the clock, we're not honouring our our primal heritage. But we're not eating the right foods either if we're eating by the clock. It's really simple. When you get your body regulated, like wake up at a certain time, and then your body will circadian regulate. So then you eat, and then you eat again. Generally, if you pay attention, your hunger starts to happen when the sun starts to come down. That's a very normal circadian pattern of when we're meant to eat. We're actually not meant to be eating. Yeah, if you watch it, if you're getting up with the sunrise and you'll have a natural hunger, and then when your hunger starts to kick in, the sun's coming down. Because we're meant to.
I can say that today. Well, I eat every morning and always. I do my morning ritual, and the first thing I do is eat.
Yeah.
And it's funny, just tonight. Yeah, it was just as the sun was setting. Yeah.
Go.
Interesting. That's good to know. I haven't heard it like that before with regards to eating and your circadian rhythm.
Yeah, yeah. So you get that dialed in, like that dials into everything, dials into cortisol, dials into insulin, it dials into women's hormones. So that sun is such a regulator, and eating at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, that's so against what our bodies are meant to be doing. And also too, it's because we're not eating the right foods, because we're not actually starving. We're undernourished and overfed. Yeah. So especially with women too in the morning, it's really, really important to make sure if you're in that cycling of having a monthly cycle, that you're not, stringing out your hypothalamus too much, every morning without eating, because cortisol is huge in the morning, but if we don't blunt it enough, then your cortisol can be quite high. But stress is one of the other things too, because you can, like I said earlier, you can have the best diet, but if you're dysregulated, it's all stress, and your body won't let go of fat. If you are highly dysregulated with cortisol and stress, it's its job. It's not meant to, because it's like, oh, I can't let go of any of this because I need it just in case, because it thinks you're in survival mode.
Absolutely. I've had my own experience of that more than once.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I was doing all the right things, and my body was still not shifting. It was just staying in survival mode. And I say this a lot to my clients too. We can be doing all the right things, but if you have underlying stress, or you're not working on the things that you need to, that are causing you to be in chaos, internal chaos, or not in peace, then your body is going to work with you. And the whole idea here is that we want to work with our bodies and not against it. So we have to listen to the feedback signals, and look at and observe what's actually going on or what's not going on. Carnivore really brings us back to our true authentic selves, in connection with our body, in connection with nature and cycles, and like ancestral living. That, like you said, like that's what I love about it. It's really a beautiful thing, because we've lost so much of that.
We have, and we're not meant to be consumed in our minds 24/7 about, meal prepping and meal planning, and it's when you remove that chaos, everything just is so peaceful. But you've got to go through that at adaptation stage in the beginning, and really trust your body, and it doesn't take that long. Like we said before, it can start within 2 weeks. You just start to feel some shifts, and your brain starts to kind of go, oh, okay, something's happening here. But you just got to keep going through the emotional part of it. That's the issue.
Exactly right. I had a thought as you were speaking, and I lost it.
All right.
It'll come back.
It's okay. Yeah, and for anyone watching or, doesn't know, like I've been eating this way now for nearly 6.5 years. So, no fruit, no plants, just meat and eggs and butter and, some Greek yogurt. But Greek yogurt is a condiment on meat. I know that sounds weird, but I love it. It's a pretty cool thing to eat, actually. Salt on your meat, there's a bit of Greek yogurt on the top. Oh, amazing.
I've never done that. I just have butter. I sometimes have a little bit of cream, but I like to try a little, and this is a beautiful pure cream from locally here in SA, and sometimes I like to have it, sometimes I like to have a break from,
Your body just tells you, and that's a thing too, like even me being on this, way of eating for so long, like I'm so in tune with my body where it'll just say steak, 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 and then it'll be like lamb, 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 and I'm like, okay, I don't question it. I just follow it, because clearly it's telling me that that's what it needs. And sometimes I very rarely eat cheese, but, it's more around a bit of Parmesan. I'm like, okay, I'll have some of that. And then it stops. It's not something that you have to keep having all the time, because you don't miss out on anything eating this way.
No, this is what now I remember what I was going to say. So with food freedom, and obviously a lot of people who are uncertain or unsure or have never heard about carnivore before, they think, oh, I'm going to be missing out on so much. But what food freedom actually does is give you so much back with regards to life. You actually receive so much back from just eating very simply, where food is not one of the main characters in your life story, and you actually live life differently. You have more space to appreciate life differently.
You do.
Whereas before it's just so noisy.
It's like being handcuffed. It's being handcuffed to food.
Yeah.
you know, and that's, you know, when I talk to my clients, it's like the handcuffs come off. And the other part of it too, you know, I get this a lot and I see it and read it online that, you know, oh my gosh, it sounds so restrictive. And I'm like, well, that's because we've come from a mindset of, you know, counting calories and, you know, restricting ourselves through food and, you know, trying to make our body smaller. Like chasing a smaller body is not the aim. It's actually chasing optimal mental and, you know, metabolic health, and the rest will follow. But the dichotomy of being restrictive actually is the opposite, because there's nothing more restrictive than feeling foggy and sick and anxiety and depression. That's restrictive. You know what? I will take this version of restrictive, which is actually the opposite of freedom, over having any restrictive kind of mental or metabolic health concerns.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. By the way, I have at times had the body, had, you know, loved what I see in the mirror, and then and sometimes not feel that great, you know, and so how I like to work is with, you know, our life having 3 pillars. So it's movement, metabolism, mindset. And if one of them is off, everything's going to fall because you haven't quite got the combination right.
Correct.
You know, and so you can have movement and food and everything set and doing it all right. It's just not enough. You need it's a full picture here. That's what we're trying to explain. Like it's not just one thing or one way. Like it's a beautiful combination. And I know you do it with your clients. I do it with my clients. Like I bring in a whole heap of different modalities and ways to support them through transition and transformation. And so that we're not just transforming body, we're transforming mind, we're transforming spirit, you know, and so we're actually totally changing who we are from the inside out. Because honestly, there's no use looking amazing and feeling like crap. You know?
No, well, it's a perfect point. You know, my background with being a bodybuilder, you know, looked great on the outside, had an amazing physique, but was really conflicted, you know, internally with my own self-worth and my own self-image. And, you know, you can be whatever size you think that you want to get to, but ultimately it's how you value yourself and how your mind now just operates in a whole different way. And you know, the body side of things just takes care of itself. When you take the focus off and, you know, because we're so myopic in society that, you know, it is all about, you know, losing fat and losing weight, but it's like, but you're also going to lose your mind at the same time if you don't understand, you know, the power of let's get your values right. Let's get you into rhythm. Let's getting you falling in love with you and valuing you. Yeah. And then everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, we've got to stop chasing smaller bodies.
Yeah.
It's not
that. Women often ask me, or we talk about this, like, what's the chicken and what's the egg here? And it's like, will I be happy when I have the body, or am I going to be happy first and then get the body? You know, and some might argue you feel 100 times better when you've got the body, but I actually believe that, like, who you become as you get the body. When we shed physical layers of body fat, like emotional stuff comes up, and we you know, I had a girl recently say that she's you know, I don't know, over 100 kilos, and she said, you know, I don't have a problem with my weight. I love who I am. I'm very confident. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I have plenty of friends. I'm, you know, confident with guys, like all this kind of thing. And she was like very, very confident. But so she said, I don't know who I'll be. I don't know who I'll be if I drop all this body fat. But I don't know who I will be like 30, 40 kilos less, because I've always been this.
Correct.
And it's okay with me. So I kind of just let it go. You know, but she really, really wanted to drop it. So that's really interesting. We don't hear that often.
No.
She's leading me. Yeah.
It kind of goes hand in hand. Like I have heard that before with clients that have, you know, really, or either way, they've been, you know, really disordered eating patterns and then getting to a healthy mindset, and they don't know who they are without that. And it's the same thing with weight, you know, and people unconsciously will hold on to that weight because it's like, I'm feeling vulnerable or probably quite naked when I lose this, you know, externalization. But it's all about making sure that we're internally really rock solid and those value structures that we live from, because that holds you steady for the rest of your life. And yes, it's exciting because it's so funny. I see it every time when we remove the focus from the scales or the weighing or whatever, and we go internally and really build up that, the body just drops it. It drops it without even, trying hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think, in my life, the mind, and from a young child, like the mind has always been the biggest challenge for me. And I can master the movement, master the metabolism stuff. And the mind is something that sometimes, falls over a bit. So, but for others, it's different. It's a different pillar. But that's, and I think we need to acknowledge where we're at, and it's okay to say, this is the hard part for me. This is the struggle for me.
It is. And when we talk about weight, whether it's someone with a very disordered eating pattern or someone that, is metabolically unwell, because really that's what it is. It's inflammation and metabolically, mitochondria not working effectively. But there is some programming and patterning around that as well. So, if there's trauma and things like that, and, in that childhood space, that causes an unconscious protection as well. But that doesn't mean that has to be that the whole time. You can turn that dial down and reframe all of that, so you can feel safe internally in your body, but you're also building your own container, and then that'll naturally allow yourself to move away from that.
So important. I really urge anyone listening, that this might be resonating with, like, to really take the time to look into Nat's work or others doing similar work, because this is such an important part of healing, such an important part of transformation. Like I have been doing work on self for, over 12 years now consistently. And it is just as important for me as showing up at the gym every week, I make it a priority. And I think when you do in those areas make them a priority, then it just supports you to continuously grow and evolve and get stronger and work towards living your greatest life.
Yeah. Well, even like things like carnivore and even going to the gym, that you have to have a value in yourself, because then they're going to be easy. But if you don't have a value in you and you're trying to conflict yourself and try to go do some weights or go in for a run or go for a walk, it's a challenge. So that's why it's like, hey, let's just come inward and raise the value in self first. Then all of those choices they just happen on their own, because there's a feedback loop, right? And that's about having a strong body and a strong mind. That's the anchor of it all. It's just feeling really strong consciously and being aware of, what you do now in the current present moment is where your future starts.
What else? Define being strong in the mind. Define being strong in the mind.
Yeah, so being responsive to life instead of being reactive or being triggered by everything. Being able to kind of be still in your body and your mind, to be observing what's going on and choosing whether or not you want to engage or not. Because your nervous system is one of the most powerful things. And if you allow it to be dysregulated, it's going to cause lots and lots of dysfunction.
Absolutely. And then everything you're trying to do doesn't work.
Correct. Correct.
It's like, like my car has a heap of, like, it's always got different types of electrical things going on. And although it's driving, like, I know it's just not quite right, because, things coming up here and there, and
alarm lights, our bodies do that.
They do. And what a lot of carnivores say is that being on carnivore makes them very in tune with their body, so they know when something has to happen. When I did the 70-hour fast recently, and I was having a bit of a body reaction, and we were talking about it, and I just knew in that moment it was going to end.
Had to stop.
I'm done.
Yeah.
This is done. This is done. Yeah. And you have to trust your body. I could have pushed through to get to, I wanted to get to the extra 2 hours, 72 hours, but it's like, no, that's not where I'm meant to go. This is what I have to do right now.
That's right. And that's where we work with our bodies instead of against it, and pushing through, and because then it's going to serve you the next time you got to do it. I just saw a question there about what about herbs and spices? I think it really depends on someone's gut health. You know, if we're talking about real people that have real mental and metabolic health issues, not in the beginning. I normally just work with that depending on the person. So normally you can add them back in, but it just really depends on herbs and spices of what that means to each person. But from the beginning, no, and then we add things in slowly to see once the body's healed.
Yeah, I just have salt and butter that I cook with tallow or suet, and that's all I need. That's all. And that's actually, food can be cooked so beautifully and tasty. I don't know if Darcy's still watching. I think he was on before, but, you know.
His tallow is amazing.
Yeah, the tallow and just simply cooking steak is so easy and so satisfying.
That's where your taste buds come back, right?
Yeah.
It's because we're so disordered in our eating from sugars and carbs and processed foods that we lose what real food tastes like. And that's why, you know, when people say, like, how can you eat steak all day and think that it tastes amazing? I'm like, oh, it tastes like the best thing you've ever had every single time. But again, if you taste it and it's not great, well, you're not hungry. Put it back.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. It is something that I love having every single time, and you don't feel crap afterwards. Like, you feel so good after you eat it. You know, and back in the day when I was eating anything and everything, I remember those times where you would eat and feel so terrible afterwards. We don't have
bloated
that
and
don't have that anymore.
No hangry and no, you know, having a carb downer and you've got to sleep and feel foggy, and then you've got to have coffee to kind of boost yourself up again. That all goes away.
Yeah. It does go away. It's a beautiful thing. Someone's just asked, where are you consulting from? Nat is in Melbourne. I'm in Adelaide.
Yeah, in Melbourne and online.
Yeah. If anyone's interested, if any ladies listening, Nat and I are working on something, so stay tuned. The both of us will be presenting something most likely later in the year that is especially for the women out there interested in carnivore, and a little bit of, you know, this is a little insight into what it is that we'll be bringing you together.
Yeah.
So
it's exciting.
It's very exciting because I think you and I are so much more than just, you know, it's not just about eating meat. It's about the life that we.
Correct. It's all of the pieces of the puzzle.
Yes.
And, you know, when they all beautifully come together, life is just really, like, you would never think that you could be in a space of peace and consciousness, but you can.
You can. That's right. If you're in, I'm just looking at the time. If you are watching and you're in Melbourne, Nat will be with us this Saturday at Carnivore Live in Melbourne with some of the leading carnivore experts from around the globe in the same room. A very interactive and fun day. Includes a carnivore lunch. You know, I had a beautiful lady call me today, and she was just starting carnivore like this week, and I said to her, you have hit the jackpot. I said, because to be able to come to Carnivore Live in the first week of starting carnivore on your journey, like, this is so special for you, because, like, not just the knowledge and the experts and professionals that she'll get to hear from, but to be able to connect with others who are doing the same thing, I think is a really important part of me running these events, because you know, she said, I'm coming on my own. Is that okay? Well, I said, most people are coming on their own.
They do,
Most people I've spoken to actually coming on their own, because they are the only ones. They're the ones leading the way in their families, in their communities, their friends groups. So the beautiful thing is to come along and make new friends and join the community, and then from here we grow and we thrive as a group, really.
Correct.
Sharing our experiences and then inspiring others to do the same.
Yeah. And you're never really on your own. Like, I know there were so many people in Adelaide that came along, and then, you know, you just make connections and friends, and you just support each other through this, you know, transition, and it's amazing.
Yes. Oh, Darcy, you are there. Hi.
Hi, Darcy. I just saw Maria in there. Hi, Maria. And Simon. Hi.
If anyone, Thanks for joining us. If anyone has any questions before we head off,
Yep.
pop them in the comments. Apologies for my voice. I'm a little under the weather, so I may sound a bit different today. But as you can all imagine, the lead up to Carnivore Live has been full on, and it's just so I can ensure that we have the most amazing day. And I just want everyone to have the best time, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Connection.
it's going to be amazing.
Awesome. If there are no comments, which is totally fine, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you for coming
Awesome.
on.
Thanks, Mel.
I'm excited to see you then, Marie, too. And yeah, we'll see you Saturday. Well, actually, Friday. Yeah.
Friday.
Friday.
Dinner first, and then I'll see you all Saturday.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, Nat. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.